for coming on my show, Andy.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You start acting at age 8?
I did. I had my first ever like acting role at age 8, and that was for the Warner Brothers Movie World commercial. I was playing Velma Dinkley from Scooby-Doo,
Hmm.
and that was an awesome experience.
That's amazing. And what attracted you to begin your acting career, first of all?
Oh, well, I get asked this a lot, and I always tell this one story. Apparently, when I think I'm not even sure how old I was. I was so young, but my mom used to work at a theater company, an art center
Uh-huh.
that put on a show of Madame Butterfly, and apparently I sat in my chair, and as she sung higher and louder, I began sitting up more on my chair, and now that I've gotten older, I kind of do have that memory of her singing those high operatic notes. And I think that's what started my love for being on being an actress.
Hmm. Hmm. Amazing. And you were young and you started acting, and you're working on all these amazing projects, by the way, right now. We can talk about that in a few more minutes. Is that you also lived in Chile
I did.
and across the world. And how was it living in, you also lived in the Southeast Asia, and how was it living in those places, all the places that you lived?
I don't have a very I don't have like a very good memory of living in Chile, but I do have memories of living in Bali and coming back to Australia from Bali. Um, and I loved living in Bali. I came back to Australia and I was literally like Mowgli from the jungle, from Jungle Book. I didn't even know what a printer was. Like,
Wow.
but I feel like I've gotten so much maturity, and
Hmm.
I've also find that what's the word? I have gotten experiences that most kids my age won't have, that I put into my acting, which really helps. And I've definitely loved traveling all over the world, living all over the world, and that's something I would love to do. Act all over the world. Like,
What places do you like to live at?
oh, well, of course, Hollywood. I would love a studio apartment in LA and Hollywood, and LA and in New York.
Mhm.
But I would really love to have a townhouse in the UK, switch between the UK and LA.
Right. I don't blame you. Townhouse would be amazing. Um,
Yeah.
you're right. Australia is it's so far from LA, so you have to
Oh yeah.
fly. First of all, I have to ask, why did you live in Bali, if you mind me asking, and then move back home to Australia?
We moved back from Bali to Australia because um, I believe a family member got into an accident, and so we came over. And then my older sister decided she wanted to go to high school here, and so we stayed for our education. And I'm pretty sure we went to Bali because my grandma was like, "Hey, I have a um, what's it called? I have a house in Bali." Um, and you can stay there for a little bit, a little vacation. And we ended up living there for a few years, which was amazing. We had bunnies, we went to markets. It was really cool.
Heard Bali is very, very beautiful and amazing and all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
now your film, you like dark comedy,
I do.
and why is that?
I think I find that I have and I get told this a lot, that I have good comic timing, but I can also do really emotional scenes.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Um, I can, tap into that really comedic role, but make it really dark. And it's something that I love to do. That's my favorite genre.
Wow. And you also like horror movies.
Oh yeah.
You mean you would like to be in a horror movie?
I would love to be a horror movie in a horror movie, and I think it's because I love the thriller,
Hmm.
and I watch people on horror movies all the time, and they're always so like into the character. They're just there. And I feel like being in a horror movie, you get to play so many different things. Like a character could be scared one minute and then like screaming the next, happy, and then like evil happy. Like there's so many combinations that can go on in a horror movie. And oh, so good. Chef's kiss.
Let's talk about uh, your films.
Yeah.
2022, you were in a film called Over the Next Horizon.
Yep.
And then 2020, you were in Crisis Point. And then, of course, this year, you were in Space Dog. And then, of course, your upcoming, you probably are not allowed to talk about it, is Space Dogs 2, Time Warp. So we'll go, and the list goes on, but I did, past few years. So let's go with 2022, Over the Next Horizon. And I read little details about it, but I'm not going to tell the audience because I'm going to have you tell the audience. What can you tell the audience about Over the Next Horizon? That title sounds so, I don't know how to describe it, but like you're looking over the horizon, over the beach. That's how I look at it. So what can you tell me about that?
So it was a really low budget film, but
Hmm.
it was really fun to shoot. It was great cinematography, like amazing. Um, it was basically a short film about an Australian in the Australian bush. Um, and I don't have a very good memory of it because it was quite a long time. Um, I think we filmed it in 2021 and it came out in 2022. Um, and I just remember that it was a really hot and humid day. We were all sweating our like heads off. And it was a really fun time because it's basically about the like there was lots of guns. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if I'm allowed to say that. There
It's
was a lot
okay.
of guns and like war kind of type film.
Hmm.
It had that war energy. Um, my character got lost in the bush. We ran away from the camp and we got lost in the bush with me and my little sister. And my little sister ended up breaking her leg. And I was like, my character was like, I don't know what to do. My sister's broken her leg. We were panicking, but then these two people from our camps, they're like our leaders. They saved us and they brought us back to the camp,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it was kind of there was a school in the camp. We were all kind of just living there. So
Oh
it was
wow.
really fun, really hot.
And
That's
where
filming in
where can
Australia for you.
and then where can people watch this film?
Just on YouTube.
Hmm.
So if you search up, I think it's Over the Next Horizon on YouTube, you should be able to just find it. And yeah, I hope
Definitely,
you like
everyone
it.
needs to check that out. And then, of course, this is during the pandemic, the 2020, the crisis point. And
Yeah.
what can you tell the audience about the film? And yeah, we'll go from there. Sorry.
No, all good. So the Crisis Point was actually one of my first films that I did. My character was a young girl who had befriended a person who her mum said was like a druggie kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, and it's basically where I'm getting interviewed by the detective because he's done something, something's happened. And um, I remember that they wrapped early because I got the scene done in two takes, which is something that I'm a bit known for, two take wonder. Um, but it was a great film. I loved filming it. I was only in a short part, but it was a great experience. Great crew members to be
Mhm.
one of my first films to do.
And I if you can, I'm just curious. It was probably hard to do it during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was. I remember people were wearing masks, sanitized. There was a lot of restrictions. Um, it wasn't too bad since it was kind of just um it was like a small crew and it was
Mhm.
only me as the cast member because they did all of them. They had to do them all separate. They had to do it at a house um because, uh, a lot of things you couldn't really do with restrictions and things like that. But it still nonetheless made it so much fun.
Wow, I just curious. And of course, 2024, Space Dog, and of course your new one's coming out, Space Dog 2, in 2025. So, what can you tell everyone about Space Dog?
So I didn't actually get to film that one this year because uh filming was postponed at the beginning of this year.
I'm so sorry to hear
Um
that.
all good. It was unfortunately due to really unfortunate circumstance that was quite personal to all of us, and we kind of just need to, take it from there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but hopefully that's still happening. It it's highly likely is, and I'm really, really excited because it's going to be filmed over in Europe. So just it's kind of just a waiting game, but it's an incredible story. It's going to be so much fun. I play a girl called Opal, and I have a bunch of siblings and that are, mysterious and mischievous, and that you can there's some rapping in it, some songs, and it's gonna be really fun.
Wow,
So I'm
amazing.
still excited for that one.
Right. Well, I'm hoping it comes out. And again, I'm sorry your family and yourself were going through some things. Um, I can't wait for it to come out. So, and I'm glad everything's
Thank
okay. I'm
you.
hoping is now with your family.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what was the most difficult role you ever had, or the most challenging role?
Hmm. Just thinking about that. Probably honestly, when I was playing, it's hard to answer that because I feel like all of the characters that I play, they're so different in a way, For example, like Melonhead, I played a bully. And that was quite hard because I've never played a bully before. You know, I've never really bullied anyone.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I didn't know how to tap into that because I find that with my characters, I try and pick experiences that I've had in life. And with me having to be a bully, I had no experience to kind of like get out of
Hmm.
my little experience shelf. So that was hard to play. But you kind of just get the mindset and you kind of just got to do what you got to do, make your own
Right.
experience.
Right.
So that was interesting. That was hard. Um, I also found to Super Caden. There was parts in that where there was green screens part and I had to get down on my legs and I've kind of
Yes, I
like
saw
I've
pictures.
yeah, I've never done like I've done practice of it, but I've never actually been in the green screen space with it all. So I really had to like work all of my body while still being in character. So that was quite hard to play. And so little bits and bobs like that all come into like play here. So I can't really tell you a specific character,
Right,
but those are
I
like my
understand.
experiences. Yeah.
Right, but it must have been fun being on a green screen.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was so cool. The Two Super is about two siblings writing a comic and their imagination and
Hmm.
inspiration to do that. And I play Caden, who's a very nerdy, quirky kind of character,
Right, right,
and uh, a sibling, Ella, manipulates Caden to be their like test dummy. And so there's the part where I jump off a roof. It's gonna be animated, so that's why I had to do the green screen. Um, it's a sitcom style, so there was multicam in the studio. Very, very fun. So cool. Um,
amazing.
and so I guess that also adds to your last question, having multicam because you have to be switched on all the time, and I think
Right,
that's
right, right.
that's really important for actors to learn.
That's true. And I totally agree with you. There's a lot of stuff, actors have to learn and green screen.
Mm.
And when you have a green screen, you have to do everything on your own almost, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, can you share a Pavento moment or a career moment that significantly impacted you?
Yeah, I can. I got told at I'm trying to narrow this down. I have had many bits and experience that have impacted my acting career, but this one that I had recently was when I realized how much I loved acting, which is very powerful in a way because you don't realize how much you love something until someone tries to take it away. I had a person come up to me being like, you should focus on something else. You need a plan B. What if acting doesn't matter? Acting
Mhm.
acting's just acting. Like that's not a very safe career. And I told them, I said, what? What? I was like, I have no plan B. Like, I only have plan A, and no matter what happens, I'm always going to stick with plan A because I want to be an actor, and that's all I want to do. Like, I finally found my thing, and I find people just want to take that away from me. And people have their own opinions of that. And I'm like, okay, but my opinion is that I want to be an actor. I was meant for acting. I love acting and I want to do it. So there's no really plan B in my life. There's only plan A. And, you know, plan A might, you know, not 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 have a smooth pass, but that doesn't really matter because, I will make plan A happen.
Right. Well, that it is a harsh thing for someone to say that to you or anybody who has a dream, a passion to be an actor, and being in the entertainment and tongue twisting, to be in entertainment industry, it's tough, right?
Yeah,
It is 100% tough. And you have auditions and you have to take pictures of is it you get headshots and
exactly. And
it,
there can be a lot of ups and
right,
downs
and
in the
there's
career.
times and there's efforts to focus on your career. But I
Mm,
always tell everybody, including myself, is you have to focus on the future, right? And the
yeah,
future is
exactly.
right. So you want to, and I always tell people, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You see yourself. You want to open the door in front of you, right? And if you don't open the door in front of you, then the door in front of you gets further and further away, and the doors keeps closing and closing and closing. And then by the time everybody realizes, oh no, this is my path, then all the 10 doors that was closing in front of you, you have to reopen those 10 doors and walk you back, back that way. And
a
I think
hundred
it's not
percent.
a think, it's a fact, right? And it's the
Yeah,
truth. Because a lot of these A actors and B plus actors or any actors in the entertainment industry, they are going through this struggle, right? And we support each other in this entertainment industry because as an acting community, doesn't matter where we live, and but we all support each other. Also, it's the path of the path we're going. And
yeah,
it's tough when someone tells you that. It's hurtful, right? You have to defend yourself, but also auditions, and it's hard. But you look at every actor that made it so far, they all have their own story like that,
a
being
hundred percent.
going through the same thing. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them have been told, you're not gonna be anywhere close to be on TV.
Mm,
A very good example. I've heard this, but Lady Gaga's ex-boyfriend, and I'm just quoting this, uh, um, that he told her that her music career won't go anywhere and she won't make it. Right. And guess where she is now, right? And that's what I'm saying. So that's my point. And, I'm just quoting Lady Gaga. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. But, anyways, what I'm trying to say is that that's how I view it, right? We have to
yeah,
you look at that, you look at people's stories and backgrounds, and we support each other and keep going down that path. So I'm glad you didn't give up, 100%.
yeah,
And we have to ignore those negative comments, but also it's kind of good to listen to those sometimes because
a hundred
sometimes
percent.
those negative comments they say things, and then some of the wording they may say may actually think about, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to say now.
Yeah,
And sometimes your friends or family, it's a hate to say it, but sometimes families say things that's kind of hurtful, or friends, but sometimes they're saying it because they want you to keep going. They want you.
100%.
Sometimes they do that. And you think about it, it's like, why did that person say that? Why did that person say that? Why my best friend say this? And then when you realize, when you make it so far, you see them following you, with celebrating with you, and all this stuff, and you're realizing, and they may come to you and say, the reason I'm saying this to you is because I believed in you. I didn't want you to give up. I believed in you, and that's why. And you think about it, and you're like, whoa, wow, I didn't know that, and I'm here, right? And
Yeah,
that's what. And I think it's unfortunate there are some people who are like, they're not like that. They just want to say,
yeah,
whatever. This
knock
is
you
not,
down.
yeah, this is not happening, right? But I always tell myself, and I tell everybody, you have to ignore negative thoughts, because if you,
100%.
and I, myself or anybody out there, when you make it, you can just say, hey, you know what, to them, hey, I made it, right? And
Yeah,
not to be rude to them, but say, hey, I made it, right? And your comments helped me, and that's how I
yeah,
view it. So,
100%. And even some of those negative comments that I get,
hmm
don't I don't hear those comments and I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm horrible. I'm never gonna do like I take them as empowerment. I want to show them. I'm gonna be like, hang on, no, you can't say that to me.
yeah,
And just, sky high. And you know, in this industry, I think you as anyone in this industry, you have to have a good mindset and you have to really believe in yourself
right,
and your
right,
craft. Because at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason.
yeah,
And like no matter what happens, as long as you feel the best and you feel like you've done your best, that's all that matters. Even if that means in an audition room, if you're learning a script, if you're filming, you really have to have that
hmm
mindset,
hmm
especially coming out of a really emotional scene. I
right,
do a lot of emotional scenes myself, and I find after doing an emotional scene, you really have to have someone. For example, I use my mum, and my mum grabs me by my shoulders and she goes, "Everything's okay. Snap out of that. You're not in that space anymore." And so it really, like, there's no harm in asking for help.
Right,
Like,
right.
and I think that that's a lot to, take in when someone's saying it, but it's the truth. You got to
It
have
is a hundred.
someone there, and you have to have a good positive mindset.
Right, 100%. It is the auditions are hard, and going through emotional scene or going through an anger scene, it just somehow snap out of it. But that's the one thing about the entertainment industry is we as actors, we have a hard time, but we
Yeah,
doing it because we're telling people's stories too. So
100%.
that is the one thing I have to, we have to talk about 100%. So, um,
Yeah. And it needs
about
to be talked about more. Like, I feel like people kind of shut that down, but I feel like that's something that a lot of actors, I'm still learning a way of having a positive mindset throughout the industry, and I think it doesn't get talked about enough. So,
mhm,
coming on here and, you talking about it is like one step closer to everyone talking about it. You know what I mean?
yes, yeah, I appreciate that, and I bring it up because this is important conversation that I love to talk about the entertainment industry. Is that it's not easy and peachy. It's not.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun, but it's also it's hard. You have the auditions. You have the school life, going to school, going to audition, acting, and you be on set and maybe on set from like 6 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours. So um
100%.
everything is all right there, and you're, how do
Yeah.
you call it, it's scrambled and on top of you. So it's one
Yeah.
thing. My last two, couple questions. I say last two, but couple question is, how do you, and since I mentioned school, how do you work around your life, going to school and going to auditions and acting and all that?
So I actually homeschool.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and so um that gives me a lot of time. So I nail down all of my schoolwork for, a day in the whole week, and then I'm free the whole week. I have 3 jobs to maintain, being able to do what I love. Um and I also go to Queensland Theatre. Um, I do musical theatre on Saturdays. So I'm quite busy. I go to auditions when I have to. I do auditions when I have to. I go on talk shows when I have to. I do all of the things like a normal person would. I just kind of I don't have a lot of time, but I feel like that's what I work the best in. I'm quite busy now. I'm starting a new podcast called Girlosophy, and I'm writing my own film. So I feel like being busy is just a way to keep my brain,
Hmm, hmm.
what's the word, organized, which is so
Organized.
weird, but
Yeah.
that's just how my brain works.
Well,
Um,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
You answered. That was my next question, by the way. But you are starting a podcast and you're
I
starting
am.
your film. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And your podcast. What is it going to be about? And what's your film going? Well, you probably can't tell anybody about your film, but what can you tell everybody about your podcast?
So my podcast is called Girlosophy, and it focuses on the well-being of girls. I will interview inspirational women who have done, inspiring things, achieved things, and I would love them to come on the podcast and tell them their story,
Hmm,
tell them, life philosophies. And I think that's matches with the name Girlosophy. And really, I really hope that the podcast inspires people, inspires girls. Um, to be there, like, just to be authentic.
Mhm.
Like I want girls to just be their authentic selves. They don't have to be someone that they're not just because Stephanie said that blah 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 blah. Like I just, I feel like that's what girls need. And I would love to share that with the
Mhm.
world. I want them to understand life is made up of series of moments, some good, some bad, but that's what makes us human. Um, but it's really about like pushing through and
Right.
just getting the moments and the
It's
philosophy
inspiring.
of life. Yeah.
That's really inspiring. When is the podcast going to be released?
So the podcast is going to be released on the 26th of August.
And then where
So,
can people listen?
hopefully on Spotify. So, yeah.
Okay, yes. Everybody can find you, of course. Where can
Yeah.
people find you? I say everybody can find you, of course, but I didn't ask. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram, Facebook, yeah, just Instagram and
Mhm.
Facebook.
Well, I was
And of
talking about
course, Philosophy on Spotify.
oh, there you go, the Spotify. I was talking about Spotify. I'm sorry. Yes. About your
So,
film. Are you allowed to talk
yeah,
about it since you're directing it, or no, not yet?
I can. No, I can. Um, so I can kind of get the synopsis up if you would like me to,
I mean, yeah, you can
if
talk a
you
little
want.
bit about it. I don't want you to
Yeah?
ruin the whole story, but
No, no. So the synopsis um is basically just a thing that matches up with the
mm,
what the film. So I'll read you the synopsis. When social outcast Lumi has her world turned upside down by the sudden death of her well-liked and high-achieving sister, she is left navigating the aftermath of social media whirlpool of gossip, rumors, and empty wishes, while dealing with her own grief and desire to be heard. The overwhelm that comes from the constant ping of her cell phone, the memories of her sister, and the well-meaning but intrusive remarks of her perfectionistic mother sends her into a spiral of self-doubt and outward frustration with the way her sister's death is being played out on social media. Moving out of Lumi's comfort zone with the help of her best friend Addison, she finds strength to speak up to the most unlikely person when the most unlikely person is the only one who has truly been listening.
wow, that's amazing.
So that's the rough synopsis.
Seems like a
And it
powerful, pardon me, it seems like a powerful movie.
Yeah, so it actually is based on some true events that happened here in Australia, where a teenager, and this is quite it's about mental health and
Mm,
suicide. So there can be some triggers, but it's basically how here in Australia, a girl at a teenage school near where I live, she took her own life at school. Um, and I remember being told what happened. I was hearing something that my sister said about her. And the first thing that I thought was, oh my God, I'm gonna make a movie about this so people know what it's like, because I remember I was like 12 when this happened, and my 12-year-old mind was like, hang on, no one knew who she was before this. And suddenly now she's like, it was all over Instagram and social media, and it was mind-boggling because no one knew that she was going through this until it happened. And so I thought that it would be a really great film that needs to be shared, um, about, a little sister experiencing the death of her older sister, and now her older sister is like social media, like like she's famous on social media and she's not even alive. Like, so it's a very deep concept,
Hmm.
but I feel like it's a proof of concept that really needs to be, told. And it's while I was writing it, I was also watching movies for like my comp films. And I feel like the Fallout,
Hmm.
it's kind of like similar vibes to the Fallout, Virgin Suicides and Dead Poet Society vibes.
Hmm.
So if you watch them, you can kind of get the idea of what I'm trying
Right,
to look for
right.
in a film.
Well, I will say this. I appreciate you making a film about mental health. I'm a mental health advocate. I
Yeah.
lost three friends to suicide, so I totally understand what you're talking about, and it's very good that we're making films about mental health, and it's very important,
Yeah.
and it's very important to talk about it. And
Yeah.
what that's
100%.
we as a human society is that it doesn't matter what age, but we have to talk about mental health. Also, we are if you're it doesn't matter if we have to if your friend calls you, at least call them back. You should be calling them back because you don't know if they're going through anything, right? So
100%.
it's very important. I think mental health is very important in this human, as us to talk about every day, and it's very important that we discuss it. So it's good.
100%. And I thought like I've noticed I've noticed that people are almost too scared to talk about mental health. Like when I did go to school, I used to, feel really anxious and talk about my mental health, and they would be like, well, like I find, and I'm not sure if this is Australia or if this is all around the world, but people don't want to talk about mental health because they're too afraid to. And I feel like if I make a film about mental health, it will open up a bunch of people to be like, this is all right to talk about. Because I understand that there's a lot of other films about it, but I feel like this specific matter needs to be told.
Yes,
Like,
100%. And it's not just Australia. I personally believe it's also around the world that we don't talk
yeah,
about mental health. And so I appreciate you making the film and I appreciate you to talk about mental health. 100%. One day I want to have you back on my show just talking about mental health.
yeah,
Um,
I would love that.
yes, I'm serious because I'm a very hardcore mental health advocate, and we're gonna definitely discuss and plan another date, and we're gonna have a show just about mental health. Very important.
100%, I would love
100%.
that.
Please, let's definitely do that. I appreciate you coming on my show. It means a
Thank you for
lot.
having me.
You're
So
very
excited.
you're very welcome. And you're always welcome back on my show.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm very serious. I tell every single one of my guests, and this show, and I said this a couple of times. This show is not about me. It's not. The show is about you guys, and it's about you and actors, and actresses, and producers and directors who come on my show and they're the reason this show keeps going because you and all the people are telling stories and telling why you want to be an actor, why you want to do this, and you, for example, are making mental health films, and that's the thing. We have to tell stories. If we're not telling stories, then there's no entertainment industry, right? And there's no reality talk
100%.
show. So
100%.
that's what I'm saying. It's 100%. I appreciate you again making this mental health film. Definitely, we're gonna talk more about that. And I appreciate you coming on my show like again. And you're always welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, and
Had
and I
a
and
really fun time.
yes, thank you. You're very welcome. And also, I'm serious. We will talk and we will schedule a mental health on my show, and we will 100% talk about mental health. It's a very
Oh,
important
100%.
conversation we would have to talk about.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. And by the way, I saw your dog 3 times walk around your bed.
Oh, So she's kind of just like, Moxie. I'm not sure if she's asleep. Mox, Mox. Hang on, let me try and grab her. Come here. Ugh. This is my dog.
Oh wow, cute dog.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. Well, thank you for coming on my show, and I look forward to having you back.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to coming back.
yes, and definitely about the mental health as well.
100%.
Yes, so I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'll talk to you later.
Cool. Bye.
Bye bye.